Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, the Casual Spaceman. Thank you very much for coming. Much appreciated. Good to see you. This is going to be something a little bit different I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to do a live debunk. It's something that I might plan to do on a regular basis, once a week. I'm not quite sure what day of the week I'm going to do it on just yet, but we'll see how it goes, and all depending on what kind of things I can actually find to debunk that kind of fits in with what I do on my channel. So, welcome to everybody. Let's have a look to see who's in the chat. We've got Robert Leger, as always. Hello, Robert. How are you? Thank you for coming. Kiri Mac, as always. 1 Minute Debunk. Curve Pimp. Hello. Tassie Bogle from Scotland. Hello, sir. How are you? Forrest Pfeiffer. No name. Kana X122. Welcome, sir. I'm not sure I've met you before. Who else we got? Declan6914. He was here before. I don't know if he's still here. Disarm. I don't know if he's still here either one. He was in the chat earlier on. And a few new faces. Speedy Smoke. Another one. I was on Owen Benjamin's live stream earlier today to tell people about the live stream and to tell him that I was going to debunk one of his videos. He didn't say an awful lot. And Speedy Smoke has actually said, "Oh man, it was fun watching you call out Owen earlier on this earlier spaceman. He ran like he always does." Well, I'm not sure he actually ran because he can't go too far on his own channel. Okay, I think we've got, how many we got? Oh, 27. That's not too bad for my channel. That's pretty good. 27 watching. In fact, that's very good for me. So welcome one and all. Just a little bit of housekeeping. This is a message for the moderators. If you get any flat earthers or Owen supporters, if they're just challenging, then please don't time them out unless they're being abusive or rude or spamming or anything like that of anybody in the chat or the moderators. Then by all means time them out or ban them or whatever. Best thing to do is warn them first, give them a timeout, and if they don't, then we'll chuck them out. Okay, so maybe let me know if they're still pestering. Kane X122, Casual Placement. I don't watch live streams much, but when they come out, so that's probably why I do watch your vids though. Oh, thank you very much, Kane. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. You're chatting amongst yourselves. Can everybody hear me? Okay, is the sound all right? Nice and clear. Do I sound okay? If you'll let me know in the chat, please. Thank you very much. Can you hear me in the chat? Can you let me know? Is the sound okay? How's the sound? Bit of a delay tonight. 5x5, no problem, says Curve Pimp. 5x5, no name. Sounds good. Thank you, Robert. Spot on, lovely sound. Greeting from 42 degrees C in Arizona. Age Desert Rat. Wow. Jeez. That's hot, man. That's hot. That's really hot. 1 Minute Debunk. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Sounds good. Excellent. Okay. So, Owen Benjamin. I found a little video on Owen Benjamin's site about NASA and the moon landings. And as somebody pointed out to me earlier on, you have to acknowledge the moon exists if you're going to talk about the moon landings. But the thing is, this video is about the moon landings. So I suppose in a lot of ways he's actually then, I guess, admitting that the existence of the moon, I guess, if you look at it that way. So yeah, so that's that's what his video is about. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at it. I'm just going to have a look at it live. We'll just pause it and then I'll say a few things. I'll stop once in a while. It doesn't go on for long. It's not a particularly long video, but I'll stop once in a while and go through a few things. And then I'll check on the chat and see what you've got, any comments, and if you've got any questions. Give me a little bit of time to come to you to respond to your questions if you've got any questions, and I will get back to you as soon as I can because it's just me on my own. So we're going to see how this goes because this is the first for me. Okie dokie. So let me just get things set up here. That's all set. Okay. And we'll put that there. Just go to another screen so we can see. So, title of the video is Dear NASA, we know you're lying. Sincerely, everyone, he says. Well, Owen, I know lots of people who would disagree with you, and I mean a lot of people that would disagree with you. So he's even in the chat, in the title, he's got that a bit wrong as well, right from the bat. And it says in the description below, it says, I really enjoy being able to prove a lie with the words of the very people involved in the lie. Well, I'm just about to show him that he's talking a load of nonsense. PayPal him, no thanks, blah, 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 blah. Well, we all know what he's like anyway. So, anyway, I'm just going to play sort of a few seconds of the video. If you can let me know in the chat whether you can hear the video or not, if you would let me know, please. I would appreciate it. I'm just going to go ahead and play it now.
All right. We have over 2,000, so let's just quickly bang out some funniness.
So tell me, did you hear that okay? Did everybody hear the video? Let me know in the chat, just so we can double check. You said we've got over 2,000, so let's get on with some funniness. Does a BOGO sound okay? Sound good, buddy? This is all I've this douchebag NANA. What are you talking about? Well, thank you very much. That's great. You can hear the video. So anyway, let's crack on with it. Let's get on with it. So like I said, I'm just going to stop every now and again, and we'll go through things.
So this is Don Pettit. This has been shown a million times, but I'm going to show it next to Neil Armstrong. It'll be pretty funny.
Well, I think you probably already guessed by now that this is one of the classic misrepresentations of an interview by the well-known astronaut Don Pettit, very, very experienced astronaut. So again, he's obviously going to take it out of context. So we'll go through this and see what's been said.
So this is one of NASA's most distinguished astronauts. He's been to the International Space Station several times.
Yes, he has. He's quite right. He's very experienced. He's right there so far. It's probably about the only thing he's going to get right in this video.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, he says. No, allegedly. Truthfully, he has been to the ISS, because also he's going to deny the ISS even exists. Prat.
And so just listen to what he has to say here.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that.
A little loud.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Okay, we'll watch that again in a second.
You notice what he's going to do? He's going to keep playing this video, this clip of it, over and over and over again. And this is just a classic tactic of flat earthers. It's the old adage of if you tell a lie often enough, then people will believe the lie. So he's just emphasizing a point over and over and over and over again, really. So this is just classic tactics.
Okay, now we are going to watch Neil Armstrong in 2002.
How powerful a computer did you have? How, in today's terminology, how powerful would you say it was?
Well, it was not as good as a laptop, but it was probably a little better than a handheld. It actually had, some of you that are computer nerds.
He's a pilot.
Liar,
he's not a nerd.
Liar. He's lying. It's so funny.
You've got to have gigs.
Oh, hilarious! Yeah, of course he's lying, but you're not going to prove that he's lying, no, is it? People like you've never proved that they've lied. No, he hasn't lied, and you can't prove it.
And that kind of stuff. And we didn't have gigs or even megs. the the
Okay, now you see where this is going. We're going to do it one more time because it's way funnier when you know the big picture. I like to let people in on the whole picture. So let's watch. I'm going to play. I haven't played either one through.
You like to let people in the whole picture, right? I mean, for me, that statement alone is laughable because with typical conspiracy theorists and typical moon landing deniers and typical flat earthers, they don't give you the whole picture. We all know this. They take little bits of information, exactly what he's done here. He says, I get people to look at the whole picture, but he hasn't played that whole of that interview. And, you know, a lot of flat earthers and moon deniers have played that very same clip, and it's literally sort of, what, 20 seconds long? Not even, you know. So he's saying he's like to give people the whole picture. That's a laugh, Owen.
Through yet. I just want to let you guys know it's just a good time. And when people are like, oh, is this your tinfoil hat conspiracy friends? No, this is the alleged first man to ever walk on the moon. And
no, not alleged, true.
One of the heads of NASA.
Right, okay, no. Donald Petit is not one of the heads of NASA. Okay, I knew he wasn't anyway, but I did my research earlier on just to double check. He is not one of the heads of NASA. He's a very experienced astronaut, and he advises NASA on a lot of different things, as a lot of the astronauts do. But he is not one of the heads of NASA. He's trying to make him out to be that he's one of the authorities in NASA, and he's absolutely isn't. He's just a very, very experienced astronaut. In fact, he's one of the oldest current serving astronauts at the moment.
Let's watch it one more time. This is why you shouldn't lie, ladies and gentlemen, because it comes back to haunt you in a really, really embarrassing way.
No, it doesn't.
Every time.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, let's watch this.
See, played it again.
Don Pettit, one more time.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. But going to Mars should be one of the next series of steps that humans do. The first step should be going back to the moon for a number of technical reasons.
Right, but we don't have the tech, right? Okay, so let's do that again.
Well, I'll go through this technology stuff in just a minute, but we'll watch a little bit more first, and then I'll go through that.
And, of course, Anthony says, well, you're just seeing people stumble through their answers. No, that's definitive. He said, we can't go back to the moon because we don't have the technology.
No, he didn't say we can't go back to the moon. What he's making out, he's making an assumption that he's meaning that we can't go back to the moon ever. That's just not the case at all, and I'll explain why in just a moment.
That we once had, and it's too painful to bring it back. Now, let's listen to the man who people claim was the first person to ever walk on the moon. What technology is he referring to?
Well, he says what people claim was the first man that went back to the moon. Not just people. We're talking lots of people. Oh God, it's kind of like, you know, the people. It's like he will actually say they quite a lot. There's a lot of flat earthers and moon deniers will actually say in just a moment. So, you know, just typical, isn't it?
How powerful a computer did you have? How, in today's terminology, how powerful would you say it was?
well, it was not as good as a laptop,
Whoa.
but it was probably a little better than a handheld.
Whoa. I mean, that's crazy.
It actually had, I mean, some of you that are computer nerds,
He's a pilot. He's not a nerd.
you know, you got to have gigs, and
So people right now are saying the shuttle. See, people, the cognitive dissonance is
Great video production there, Owen. You got the video right over your face. Classy, buddy. Really classy.
so strong in people's heads that they won't just see what's right in front of them. And I'm trying to help you guys, man. I already know it's a lie.
I'll just stop there because I just had an interesting comment from Agent Globehead in the chat. We're going back in 2024, and many other nations are planning to go as well. That's very true. Many other nations are. Okay, so when we go back to the moon, it's not just going to be NASA. The only ones are going to be going back. There's going to be several people. So it'd be interesting to see these kind of deniers, what they actually say after that. I think you agree, Agent Globehead. Agent Globehead, thank you for coming, buddy. Thank you very much. And anybody else that's come into the chat since then.
But these things are important. And then we're about to talk about John F. Kennedy. We're going to talk about William Cooper, and it's all going to make sense. I actually put a little effort into this one today. Someone told me long ago there's a calm before the storm. I know. It's been coming for some time. I want to know, have you ever seen the rain? Okay.
I have absolutely no idea what he was talking about. It's almost like he said there's some sort of storm, like a war coming. Like they're going to reveal some big truth or something like that. Yeah, one of these days, you're going to find that it's all true, you big prat.
So if we had this technology, and they're boasting right now, that's why pride is a sin, right? I battle with it. Not going to lie.
Oh, that's typical, isn't it? Oh, pride is a sin. Yeah, I battle with it. I'm not going to tell a lie. He's justifying his own pride, really. That's what he's doing there. You know, that's typical of these sort of religious flat earther types. Okay. Yeah, so it's nobody else can have pride. But it's okay. He can have pride because he's battling with it and he's a Christian. Oh, and God's going to forgive me.
You know, yesterday I realized it hurt that they took down my picture at the Improv in Hollywood, and that's pride. You know, that's a weakness of mine. I'm working on it. Like, why should it matter? Don't look back. Never look back. He turned to salt. I get it.
Yeah, they took his picture down from wherever he said he was. As not only that, he's been banned from a few different social media sites, I understand.
I get it. But this is ridiculous. So someone's like, oh, no, it's the shuttle technology. That's the good shit. That's the real shit. They had that. They destroyed it. They can't bring it back.
I don't think anybody's actually said that we destroyed the shuttle technology. And I'll tell you what, we're going to the Apollo technology right now, okay? What idiots like him don't seem to understand is that we didn't literally destroy everything like it's gone out of existence, the Apollo technology that we had at the time. We destroyed the infrastructure to produce it. We destroyed all the machinery. We didn't destroy the plans. But the problem is, particularly with the development of the engines, they had a lot of problems with the F1 engines on the Saturn V rocket. And there was a lot of testing, a lot of changes. They kept changing the design. And unfortunately, the final designs weren't actually properly drawn up. Of course, the people that went through the building and the designing of those engines at the time, and went through all the testing, are no longer here. They're not alive anymore. So we could figure it out. We could do it. But another thing you've got to consider is that a lot of that technology is obsolete with modern technology, with the digital age. And that's the difference as well when it comes to the computers. We'll talk about the computers in a moment because he brings that subject up. In those days, it was an analog computer system. In other words, it was a hardwired computer system. Now we have digital technology, and that digital technology, and sadly, is a lot more sensitive to things like vibration and also radiation. Because the Van Allen belts that the moon or the space deniers seem to always want to talk about as their favourite subject. Harry Warp has just said the F1 engines had parts added in the vehicle assembly bay. That's quite right. Yes, they did. They had different parts added at different points as well. So it would be painful to build it up again. And not only that, the technology. Neil Armstrong himself actually said that there was a 10% chance that they may never actually return from that Apollo 11 mission. And those sort of odds, those sort of risks now are completely unacceptable. There's no way they're going to send astronauts to the moon with a 10% chance of not returning. That's just, those sort of odds are completely unacceptable. So even if we did build up the technology again, it's just unacceptable risks. So it's not like we've forgotten all this technology. It's been obsolete, and it's the infrastructure and the tools and everything else to actually produce it all has gone. So anyway, so let's move from you wandering around. Let's play it on again.
So you look so dumb at this point.
Really?
Often we didn't have gigs or even
Like you said, you look so dumb. Who's you? Who, what? Me? NASA? Who?
Megs. The the Apollo computer had 32K of fixed memory.
Okay, so 32K got them to the moon, allegedly.
Right, well, 32K. Well, I remember having a computer, okay, in the early 80s. And some of you that are of my age or a little bit older, the Commodore VIC-20, that had 20K of memory, 15K less than the Apollo computers actually had. I'm going to go into more about the what the computers were and how they actually worked at the time. So let me just read this message in the chat. Clifford Reynolds: everyone wants to see them go, but no one wants them to know them. No one wants them to not come back. Of course we don't. Of course we don't, Clifford Reynolds. Absolutely not. Nobody's going to take that kind of risks that they did during the Apollo missions. But on that side note, all the astronauts knew what the risks were, and most of them, as you probably know, were military and also test pilots. And a lot of them had already gone to war, because during that time you had the Vietnam War, and the risks were actually much greater than 10%. I know some people said 20 or 30% chance, depending on the mission or depending on what they do, they might not come back. And the life expectancy of some pilots were actually quite low, depending on what their job was and the missions that they were going to. So they were quite used to those kind of risks. So anyway, let's crack on.
And they're bragging about it. He's like, dude, we didn't have anything. We had nothing.
No, we didn't have nothing. They had quite a state-of-the-art computer that was very unique to the Apollo program. And as I said, I'll go through how the computer systems worked, and I'll bring up a few links and we'll have a look at them.
Of erasable. That was it. No screen, no sound, no icons, no nothing.
Well, I mean, Neil Armstrong said there's no screen. There was a screen, but it was just a digital LED screen with a few lights and a number pad. That's all it was. Literally, it was like the little, what do you call those pixels? But the little pieces that made up a digital number. Yeah, it was a number pad with a few different screens that had those digital numbers on it. But obviously, nothing like the computer screens we have now.
The keyboard just had, it had 0 through 10, read, clear, and enter. I think it might have been 1 or 2.
Oh, look, he brought up a little number pad. No, not quite, Owen. Yeah, just to emphasise your point. I had a few other things on it as well.
2 more keys. we had no graphics, no screen, no. On its best days, it couldn't get to 1 megahertz.
That's great, Neil.
So it was slow and weak, but it got its there. But it got.
All right, so let's rewatch. Let's rewatch Pettit. Here we go.
There he goes again. He's playing the Pettit interview once again, as if he's kind of trying to push forward his point over and over again. You remember what I said earlier on? Tell a lie often enough and people start to believe it. Well, personally, I think it's bullshit. What he's saying, anyway.
This is why we haven't went back to the moon.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology.
That's weird, Don, because I'm right now on a computer with like 100 gigs. And I just watched a lizard person named, hang on a second, named Neil Armstrong. Tell me.
A lizard person. Yeah, that kind of just typifies about what he's about, doesn't it? Right, also that interview has been taken out of context, doesn't it, really? Because what he's actually saying is that we don't have the technology at the moment to go back to the moon. During that time of that interview, I could be wrong. Somebody correct me in the chat. I think it might have been. I think it was from 2008 or 2009. I'm not 100% sure. So perhaps somebody can tell me in the chat if you know when that Don Petit Donald Patet interview actually was. So yeah, Wayne Sharp, Chateau Owen, you twat. Owen's not in the chat, is he? No, it doesn't look like he is. I didn't think he would come. And he's got bigger fish to fry than little old me. So yeah, he's yeah, whatever. So anyway, let's crack on and play a bit more.
That he had just a couple K and no graphics, no keyboard.
No, it wasn't a couple of K. It was 32K, 35K, I think you said, wasn't it? Which is 15K more than the Commodore VIC-20 computer I had. And that Commodore VIC-20 computer, I could do some quite handy games. I could make some games and things like that. I had games for it. I actually made a few simple games as well with the basic language. But anyway, let's play on a little bit more, and then I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about the computers and what the Apollo computers and what they can actually do, and compare them to nowadays digital computers.
But it got him to the moon. So something isn't adding up. And don't just say that.
No, it's perfectly adding up. You just don't understand how it was done. It perfectly adds up. And you've got to say that it doesn't add up. But personally, I don't think he believes what he's saying. But that's just me.
This is some random guy, Don Pettit. He's one of the most esteemed astronauts in the world. He's one of the heads of NASA.
No, he's not one of the heads of NASA. Yes, he's an esteemed astronaut, but he's not one of the heads of NASA, Owen. He isn't. Unless you can show me some evidence that he is, I'll stand corrected. If anybody can say in the chat, then please, just correct me if I'm wrong. He's not the head or one of the heads of NASA. He's just a very experienced astronaut, and they rely on him for a lot of advice.
He's been to the International Space Station, allegedly, 3 times. So this isn't a random guy stumbling through words. This is one of the biggest people in NASA. Let's watch it again.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond.
In a nanosecond, Don.
The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Yes, it is a painful process to build it back up because we don't have the tools, the technology, and it's not safe.
Going to Mars should be one of the...
Yeah, so we don't have the technology. It's a painful process to bring it back, but we should go to Mars, even though we just found out the Mars rovers finally died, and one of the companies that was going to bring people to Mars just went bankrupt and kept everyone's money. So, there's all that. And then people are like, yeah, but we went to the moon. There's proof. We saw, they have all the data. No, they deleted all the data. Even though it's a multi-billion-dollar, organization, they needed tapes. You can't make this up. They needed tapes because they couldn't afford VHS tapes. Guys, I still have...
Right. Oh, dear me. A couple of things. First of all, what he's talking about is the missing tapes, right? And people like him are saying that the telemetry data from the Apollo 11 mission was lost. The telemetry data of the Apollo 11 mission was not lost. What was lost was the slow scan television pictures that was recorded on telemetry tape, and that went missing. Yeah, it's a cock-up. NASA screwed up. Absolutely screwed up, and it's embarrassing. Okay? That's what was lost. But what he's just said is, let's just play it back, because you know how much Owen Benjamin likes to rewind things and play it. Hear what he said about VHS tapes. Hold on.
Needed tapes. You can't make this up. They needed tapes because they couldn't afford VHS tapes, guys.
They needed tapes because they couldn't afford VHS tapes, right? When are the Apollo 11 missions, Owen? 1969 to 1972. VHS tapes didn't exist between 1969 and 1972, right? Let's just prove it, okay? When was VHS developed? There we go. It's got typed it in before. Oh, look. Owen, look at it. Whoops. VHS, or short for Video Home System, is a standard for consumer dialogue video recording on tape cassettes developed by Victor Company of Japan in the early 70s. It's released in Japan in September the 9th, 1976, and wasn't released into the United States until 1977. And even Betamax, which some of you might remember, was about a year before that. So, Owen, you have no idea what you're talking about, buddy. None. They couldn't afford VHS cassettes that didn't exist. Oh, what a prat, honestly. Anyway, so let's play a little bit more, and I'm gonna. Right, I tell you what I'm gonna do. Actually, we're gonna talk about is the Apollo computer system. The Apollo computer system was an analog computer. I understand it. There was 4 computers. There was 2 on the command module, and there was one main one on the lunar lander, and I think there was a spare one in case they actually had an abort mission. It was a spare computer. Okay, so there's 4 computers. Now, analog basically means is that it was a hardwired system of computers. Okay, it wasn't valves, but it was very close to it. Okay, it worked on a very simple system. And the system that they used was basically a number pad, and they called it SYSKY, or SKY, or SK, something like that. Anyway, it was SYSKY. And let's bring it up. Hang on a second. I'll show you a picture of it. Let's see. Let's have a look. Let's see if we can bring it up here. I'm sorry if I'm teaching people to suck eggs on this, but this is just really for people not in the know. Okay. So here it is. Okay, I don't know if you can see that okay. Right, okay. Basically consists of this system here called SYSKY. This is the interface for the actual computer. And the way they actually worked it is they worked it on a system of verbs and nouns. Okay. So the way it worked is that a certain number would actually apply to a certain command, and another number would apply to a certain action. So the verb was the command. So you had verb, say verb 01, okay, would have been a certain particular action, okay, that would happen. Say for instance, turn spacecraft or something like that, okay. And then the noun, they're into a particular number, could be 05 for instance, and then enter again. Okay, and that could be for the data that's going to be used. In other words, it could command an engine to actually do that. Okay, so it's very simple. So now, as we can see, what they managed to do with the computer system, they managed to actually get as much as they could out of what little they actually had. But the reason why they managed to do it is because it was such a simple system. First of all, they didn't have any graphics interfaces, so they got rid of all that altogether. They didn't have a big keyboard like we have now, a QWERTY keyboard that's got all sorts of different numbers on that. We didn't need that, so that was out of the equation. But pretty much, I don't know if they even existed even then. I'm not sure. And they didn't have fancy displays and all these different things. And also another way it worked is that modern technology, your phone that you're probably holding right now, or the computer you're using, or your tablet, or whatever, your laptop, the way it works is when it's processing things at the same time, it shares the resources of the computer. It shares the processing power, if you like. But the way the Apollo computers worked is that they worked in an order of priority. So the most important things that needed to be processed were processed first. Okay, so then that brought it down to even further. So they are really getting a lot out of what limited capacity they actually had. So really, that's pretty much how simple it was. It was just a very simple computer, and it didn't need to be really much more powerful with the technology and the spacecraft they had at the time. As you probably seen in the Apollo spacecraft, if you've seen the Apollo 13 spacecraft, it's very true. It's just full of a lot of hardwired switches and fuses and breakers and all that kind of thing. So really, it was quite a simple machine. It was got a lot of moving parts and complicated in terms of how much it was structured doing all those sort of things. But really, it was quite simple. So that's the difference. And he's trying to make a comparison between the computers they had there and the technology of the spacecraft compared to the phone that he's holding in his hand. Okay, it's a completely different system, and it didn't need to have the kind of powerful system the powerful computers that we actually have now. It just didn't need it. And also, our phones don't have the software or the capacity to take you to the moon. Simple as that, really. And that's a little bit about the computer. Okay, so I hope that informs a few people that didn't know. And I'm sorry if it's I've just had the snark said I programmed under RDOS, real-time disk operating system. It was really small but very good for controlling live systems, and used it for administration. That's interesting. No, so let's just have a look through the chat as well. Curve pimp, casual spaceman, details man. That's the cool move. Yeah, I hope so. Let's have a look. The snark says, Forrest Pfeiffer, their interface was the best, so simple and intuitive. You could do is flip the tape and use the other side. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And also, oh yeah, that reminds me as well, the tapes that he was actually talking about. In fact, the tapes of the time were actually better than VHS, because the tapes that they used for the telemetry and all kinds of different data had 14 tracks on them. And only one of the tracks was used for video. It had you could hold all kinds of data, so it was better than VHS. Displaying heat shield, displaying keys. That's all it needed. Disk key. That's it. Heat shield. Thank you very much. DSKY. Thank you. And Forrest Pfeiffer said the same thing. Thank you very much. Philips V2000 was the best. Changed my mind. I don't know what the Philips 2000 was. I only used Commodore. I had a Commodore VIC-20, and then I had a Commodore 64, which was almost twice as powerful as the Apollo Pro computer. But then again, and even then, the amount of processing that it did in one time, or very quickly, was far better, the Apollo computer, than a room full of people could have done in mission control and NASA all at the same time. Much more. You can do it much more quickly. So he's really knocking the computers and basically trying to prove that we didn't go because of the computer system, which is nonsense. Wasn't it a short and a switch that caused the Apollo 13 disaster, Clifford Reynolds? No, I believe it was a short in the cryogenic tanks that actually caused it, and it caused an explosion. I believe that's how it happened, rather than the actual... in the switch. It wasn't the actual switch itself. But close though, Clifford, very close. So anyway, let's crack on. Let's just rewind just a tiny bit, just to remind us what he's just said, because I've gone on a bit, so sorry guys. I'm getting a bit thirsty. Perhaps I think my girlfriend might be watching, so Nina, if you're listening, I'd love a drink if you can get me one. Just a cold drink, water will do, if you're listening. I think she's upstairs listening at the moment, so which is great. And 45 in the chat. I think it reached about 50 earlier on, so that's brilliant. Thank you very much, everyone. So anyway, let's listen a bit more.
$1 billion, organization. They needed tapes. You can't make this up. They needed tapes because they couldn't afford VHS tapes. Guys, I still have the Never-Ending Story.
I started to laugh at that again. Let's just rewind that again, because how he likes things being repeated. So let's just repeat this and make him look how stupid he really is. Let's listen to it again.
You can't make this up. They needed tapes because they couldn't afford VHS tapes. Guys,
again.
Organization, they needed tapes. You can't make this up. They needed tapes because they couldn't afford VHS tapes. Guys, I still...
Oh, Owen, you've no idea. You clueless. Absolutely clueless. All the way through. I said in the description I was going to show him. Yeah, Harry Warp just says VHS was invented in the late 1970s, early 80s. Yeah, well, actually, if you rewind Harry Warp, I just went and Googled it, and yeah, right enough. I knew it was somewhere in the 70s anyway. So yeah, 1975 when it was actually released in Japan, and then 1976 when it was released in the USA. What a prat.
Still have the Never-Ending Story and Beetlejuice on VHS tapes, and I was raised in a family without a lot of money. We didn't even have a TV or a VCR till my uncle, who fixed VCRs, gave us a VCR, and we never taped over them. And I mean, I don't like Beetlejuice that much,
Just something there. NA just said. Sorry, no, it's Curve Pimp. Beg your pardon. Sorry. I was a basic language computer. Oh, Curve Pimp. I remember basic. Yeah, I got quite good at that. Although I've completely forgotten it. But it was actually very simple language, wasn't it? If I remember rightly. Very simple. Just basically lines, numbered lines, and then you could use instruction to go through each line, or you could go back and all the rest of it. Harry Warp, Casual Pace, I stepped out for a break while you were talking about that, yeah. Okay, so that's all right, Harry. Well, you can watch it again, can't you? You can go through it. I hope you're all enjoying this so far. I'm actually having a lot of fun with this, actually. It's good fun. And it's actually nice doing it live because a lot of ways it's simpler than making a video because then it doesn't really matter if I keep humming and hawing and stopping. So anyway, we're near the end of this anyway. So once I've finished, what we'll do is we'll go, we'll have a little talk about it, and you can ask questions and say whatever you want to say, and we'll talk about it.
Right? NASA gets billions a year, billions and billions and billions, and they said that they taped over the moon landing telemetry data, but they repurposed it. They used some graphics. They brought in Michael Beck.
No. They didn't tape over the telemetry data. They still have the telemetry data. They lost the tapes for the slow scan television pictures, basically. They lost it. So, no, we still have the telemetry data, and that's the general misconception. And it's because people have jumped all over it because it was telemetry tape that they used. So, it's not true. They never lost the telemetry data, Owen. See? Another thing. You've no idea what you're talking about.
And now it's great. It's just, you got to get past it. We never went to the moon. The whole space narrative is fake. It's so fake that it's insane.
Well, it's so fake that it's insane, and we can't get past it. What do we need to get past, actually, Owen? What is it that we need to get past? Okay, because there's mountains more. I mean, like every size evidence that proves that we landed on the moon. Then with your little teeny crappy bits of information, like the 20-second clip of what I think was about a 5-minute interview of Donald Petit. Well, it probably wasn't 5 minutes, but it was a lot longer than about 15 and 20 seconds that he showed. You know, this is the problem with moon deniers and flat earthers. They take little tiny bits of information. I said it the other night, actually, on another live stream. Getting the truth is a bit like building a jigsaw puzzle. Okay, you get this lovely 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. Okay, and it looks beautiful, beautiful picture. So what you do is you very carefully arrange all the pieces, you take all the edges, you find the corners, and you slowly but surely, over time, sometimes can be days or weeks or whatever, depending on the size of the jigsaw, you build up this beautiful picture with lots of bits of information, and you see the big picture. But flat earthers and conspiracy theorists and space deniers and all the rest of it, all they do is they take little bits of information that they think is wrong, put it into a pile, and then present it as the truth. That's their tactic, that's what they do. But they don't look at the whole bigger picture, and they will never present you the bigger picture, despite what Mr. Owen Benjamin said here. So this is just classic stuff, isn't it?
And when people say, you're a conspiracy theorist, well, we're about to get into that with a little man, big man, named John F. Kennedy.
Right, we'll stop that there. So, what does everybody think of that? What did you all think of that then? Any comments or anything you'd like to say? Or laugh at him and do whatever you like. This is your time. Oops, let's get rid of that. Yeah, oh, it's gone. That's all right then. So, anyway, so what did you think, guys? Oh. I'm just going to read something that Harry Warp said. Casual Spaceman, did you hear that NASA intern bought a box of tapes and some of them were labelled moon landing or something like that? I haven't heard of that myself. I don't know, to be honest with you. Okay. Damn it, they quit missing with the flurfers. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, Christine. Barry Weaver says he's insane. What's this? Wayne Sharp says he's an idiot. I would decline to agree. Forrest Pfeiffer says he's a complete flute loop. 1 Minute Debunk says, I think that guy doesn't know shit. And you're absolutely right. What else have we got? Oops, I'm going too fast here. A load of cherry-picked rubbish. That's exactly right, Agent Globehead. Thank you very much. Curve Pimp, Flurfs look at the facts like cat's litter box. Lots of shite to chew on. You're absolutely right, Curve Pimp. Carl Browning says he shouldn't be allowed to do anything in public. No Name says he's an idiot. He argues from incredulity. I can't even say that word. I know what it means. Incredulity. Yeah, whatever. I can't English. And offered no evidence. There's nothing to debunk. Not really a whole lot, to be honest with you. Not a lot to debunk. I mean, you know, there is a certain debunking because I needed to debunk what he actually said, which wasn't true. Basic, and Gary Little says basic useful for anything. I would not use basic to write code for an automatic butt wiper. Well, Gary, back in the day, that's all there was, pretty much. So we didn't have a lot of choice back in the day. Let's have a look. Peter Harrington says that was good. Loved the way you did it. Oh, thank you very much, Peter Harrington. Very kind of you. Thank you. And Clifford Reynolds says, Casual Spaceman, I think Owen Benjamin is a 2-bit huckster. Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure what a huckster is, Clifford. Let me know what a huckster is. I don't know. Does that come from probably it's a US thing? I don't know. Never heard of that. Yeah, you'll need therapy after that, Casual Spaceman. Well, I watched it earlier on, and no, I'm okay at the moment. I didn't lose my shit. Honestly, I really didn't when I watched it. Didn't understand what he was laughing at. Very delusional, says Rachel Daniels. I think it was a really false laugh. I don't know about anybody else, but that laugh is so false. It's ridiculous. How does he get so many followers? That is a really good flipping question, Wayne Sharp. I have not got a clue. He's got, if you look on his channel, he's got 250,000 subscribers. Over 250,000 subscribers, actually. I have no flipping idea. I think it's probably because he's been so controversial, I think, isn't he? Really controversial about a lot of things and upset a lot of things. So I think a lot of people probably subscribe to him out of curiosity to see what he's going to say next. You know. Let's have a look. I really wish they would get better or newer material. It's getting boring. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. And the reason why I picked on this guy because he was talking about NASA and the moon landings. Not only that, but you know, he's a big subscriber as well. So I just wanted to show him up a little bit because he is what he is. But I'll tell you one thing: I would never actually debate him. And I've seen him debate, and he's really aggressive, really aggressive. And I give him his due. Actually, he's very quick-witted. I give him that much. It's very quick, very sharp. So for those reasons, I would never debate him. But I'm quite happy I'd love it if he responds to me. That'd be fantastic. So we can have some bit of going backwards and forwards. I'll definitely do that against him for sure. Let's have a look. Casual Spaceman, why do they always rehash the same old shit and think it's earth-shattering? Yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely. Same stuff. Nothing new we haven't heard before. How do you know that Don Petit has been on the ISS? Because it is widely documented, Joe Cantamore. Very widely documented. As well as photographs, videos, all kinds of different stuff. So if you want to argue against a whole lot of people, that's fine. You go ahead. Let's have a look. I've gone past a little bit. Let's have a look. Charles Starbuck, it's true, they accidentally sold some of the tapes to an intern in 1976. He just sold 3 tapes in auction. Yeah, I have heard that, Charles Starbuck, but has that ever actually been verified that the tapes were actually sold? I've heard different stories about that. I don't know how true that is. I'm not saying you're incorrect. I'm just saying that I've never heard it actually verified whether that's true or not. Yep, Peter Harrington said, don't forget to like everyone. Yeah, hit the like button. Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Clifford Reynolds says, con man. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, no name's Huckster is a con man. All right, yeah, scam artist. So is Agent Globeth. Thank you very much. I didn't know that. I haven't heard of that one before. Let's have a look. Heat shield, I like that. Let's have a look. He has a zombie horde, not followers. Yeah. The Earth is flat. Space doesn't exist. Let's have a look. Who else is commenting? Yes, man. Languages. Widely documented. You take other people's word for everything. Video and photos can be doctored. You personally do not know anything, and you believe everything NASA tells you. Well, no, actually, Joe Cantemore. I don't believe everything NASA tells me, because I get a lot of my information, not from NASA, but a whole range of different people. I get my information from books because I actually read books. And a whole load of different books that people that have got absolutely nothing to do with the NASA or the government or the CIA. So, no, you're wrong. Absolutely wrong. I mean, Joe Cantemore, how did you learn about the flat Earth? So if you're saying that I rely on other people telling me things, then you rely on other people telling you that the Earth is flat and space didn't exist and we didn't go to the moon. One or the other. I don't know if you're a flat earther or not. Doesn't really matter. But, you know, you've just contradicted yourself there a little bit, buddy. So, here we got the Snark. We took simple Fortran programs, compiled them, fished out the assembler code, optimized that and used that. Right, okay. I don't know anything about programming language, I'm afraid, the Snark. Thank you for commenting. Appreciate it. Charles Sousa message retracted. Charles Starbucks sold by Sotheby's about a week ago. Really? Yeah, exactly. No name. That's the point I was just making. Joe Cantemore, who told you that NASA lies? Exactly. Contradiction. Why wouldn't you debate? I've just told you why, Cantemore. I'm not going to debate him because I've seen his debating style. He's very aggressive. He's very quick-witted, and he's very sharp, and he talks over people. So no, I'm not going to debate him. I'm giving you a straight-up answer. It's got nothing to being scared of him. I'm not scared of people. Okay. I've got no problem with debunking any of his videos because everything I've said I know is correct and I can verify it. The Snarks did that too. Yeah, I think this debate could probably go on the chat for a long, long time. Joe Cantemore, please, if you want to say something in the comments, put it all below and I will address them because I haven't really got time to address everything that you say here. I don't know how long we've been going on for. We've been going on for almost an hour. But yeah, stick him in there, buddy. And we can talk about your theories a little bit more if you like. But so far you haven't really presented anything that I can tell. Yeah, exactly. So let's have a look. See who else is in the chat. Well, we've had over 50 watching, and actually that's probably a bit of a record for me. I did promote this quite a bit, and I went on to his live stream early on today. Funny enough, I was just promoting it, and I went on to Owen Benjamin's channel, and I thought I'd subscribe to him and put the bell notification just to see what he's got coming up and stuff. And then, hey presto, it came up the notification that he was doing a live stream. So I went on his live stream and I basically just told him that I was going to be debunking one of his videos, and his response was, and I quote, "You can't debunk a non-bunk." Well, I can when it's bunk. So yeah, I've just debunked it. Done. Finished. So if you disagree, Owen Benjamin, if you're watching this, then come back to me. Let me know where I've gone wrong. If you think I've gone wrong, then tell me. I've got mountains of evidence in the contrary to everything you said in that video. Everything. Tons of it. And it's all very well documented. Joe Cantemore, I don't believe we've gone or haven't gone one way or the other. I just think it's foolish to not accept the equal possibility of both. Well, I would accept if it was an equal possibility, but it's not an equal possibility because, as I said, there are mountains of evidence compared to compared to the supposed evidence that has gone before. And Joe, Owen has not come back with anything new here. It's the same old stuff that has been debunked over and over and over and over again, hundreds of times, probably thousands or even millions. Who knows? So yeah, if it was equal, then yeah, I would accept it. But it's not equal, so I ain't no fool. In my opinion, there's slightly more evidence that we didn't go. Well, Joe, what you need to do is you need to educate yourself. I've been interested in this for many, many years, since I was about 5 or 6 years of age. Now, when I was at secondary school, or US equivalent in high school, I was actually telling my teachers what actually happened with Apollo language during the science lessons. They could teach me the science, but I knew more about Apollo 11, particularly what actually happened, than the teachers did. Why? Because I read an awful lot of books about it. I'm not an expert, don't get me wrong, because for many years I lost completely interest. Because after when the space shuttle program got moving, it was just a bit boring, really, to me. So I lost interest for many, many years. So there's a lot that I've forgotten, but there's a lot that I still remember, and a lot that I still know, and a lot that I can verify. So I completely disagree with you, Joe. There is far more evidence that we went than anybody else. Squatting Thunder Bear says, Casual Spaceman, do you think that any of the deaths surrounding the early Apollo missions and the simulations are possibly more than the mainstream stories that were told? I'm not quite sure exactly what you mean, but if you're referring to Apollo 1, they died. It's as simple as that. And to say anything else, there's no evidence, no verifiable or documented evidence to prove otherwise. Okay, it was an accident, it was a cock-up, and it was preventable. And that's my criticism of NASA. NASA have screwed up a number of times when people have died, as we know with Columbia, and the other space shuttle disaster. They were all preventable. And that's my criticism of NASA. And I'm not always a big fan of NASA. They make mistakes, and some of those have been preventable, and that's unforgivable in my opinion. So that's just my opinion. Let's have a look. What else has been said? No Name says, slightly more evidence. If you consider YouTubers repeating the same debunked claims, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, neither do I, No Name. I agree with you. Absolutely. Well said. The moon now runs on Tesla batteries. Yeah, that's where the power of that it comes from. Its self-illumination. You're hilarious, dude. Let me know when they go back. Oh, I'll let you know. Don't you worry. I think a lot of people will let you know, Joe. But I'm glad you think I'm hilarious. But if you can debunk anything I said, then go ahead, do it. Put it in the chat, in the comments below, and we'll talk about it and see if you can debunk anything I say. Because I can tell you one thing, you won't. You've got nothing, I'm afraid, like all the rest of them, I'm afraid. So, sorry, buddy. No, it's nothing personal against you, Joe Cantemore. I don't hate you, I just hate what you and other people stand for. But to be honest with you, Joe, I don't believe that what you're actually saying is, I don't know if we actually went or didn't go. You're not one-sided, but you are most definitely on the side that we didn't go, because you just stated a little while ago that there's more evidence to prove that we didn't go. So you are a denier, I'm afraid, buddy. So no offence, but you're wrong. I'm just waiting for him to say challenges are fake. Do you know what? When I watched that video, Forrest Pfeiffer, I really thought he was going to say that the space shuttle was fake. Or you're talking about Joe up there saying that him say that the channels are fake, or was it was somebody else, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, Clifford Reynolds just says, Casual Space, and what did you think of Buzz Aldrin slugging with Bart Sibrel? One small punch for a man. One small punch for a man, one giant punch for mankind, I think, isn't it? For an 80-year-old old man, I tell you, he's still got a swing. If you get into somebody's face and call them a liar when they've served their country as a fighter pilot and as a test pilot, I think he was a Navy pilot, if I can stand corrected, then yeah, brilliant. Squatting Thunderbear says, there was, I think, a couple of deaths where the astronauts publicly called the LEM a heap of nuts and bolts. or they hung a lemon on it, and they would like, and then like the day after they died in a fire during simulation. Squatting Thunder, if I'm not mistaken, you are a mod on Owen Benjamin's chat, I think, if I remember rightly. I think I remember you seeing on there. Yeah, and he mentioned your name a couple of times. Yeah, they did actually say it was a pile of heaps of nuts and bolts. But thing is, they were all test pilots and fighter pilots, and that's the sort of language that they actually used. Then when they first saw the LEM, they thought it looked ungainly, and it would never. They didn't think it would ever fly because it didn't look anything like they're actually used to, these sleek, aircraft that they're used to. But of course, they don't need aerodynamics in space because there's no atmosphere. One small punch for a man. Yeah, one small punch for a man, one giant punch for mankind. 1 minute debunk. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Buzz Aldrin, the OG One Punch Man. The right stuff, Barry Weaver says. Yeah, absolutely the right stuff. So, yeah. Okay, well, listen, I think we're going to call it there. Thank you so much for everybody coming, and thank you everybody for commenting. I never expected actually so many people to be watching, so I really appreciate it. I really appreciate everybody viewing and subscribing to my channel. I've said it before that people that watch the videos and subscribe, they're the ones that actually make YouTube what it is. Without you guys, we don't, as creators, we don't have a channel and we don't have an outlet. Most of us do this for fun. I do this partly for fun, but I'm working towards making a living from it, hopefully. And I hope you think that I'm getting better and improving. I've really enjoyed this tonight. I hope to do another one like this as well. So yeah, because it's good fun. And look and think. And also, as I said, I want to thank everybody who subscribed. I particularly want to thank all my Patreons as well. They're coming across the bottom of the screen here. So thank you very much. Robert Leger, he was in the chat a little while ago. He's one of my Patreons. Thomas J. Miller, Robert Leger, Sarcastic Barman. He's another one of my Patreons, Stringer News, and Stephen Huxtable. Thank you very much, guys, for your support. It's really appreciated. I'll never forget you because you're really helping me to get onto my way of reaching my goal of making a reasonable living from doing this. It's been quite a journey, and I've really enjoyed it so far. So I really appreciate all of you. So I think that's all from me. And just to say, once again, thank you for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, but also don't forget to hit the bell icon and you'll be notified when I upload videos. But there's 40 that have hit the like button, so please smash that like button before you go, and then that'll hopefully attract more people to come along and watch this as well. So brilliant, thank you very much, really appreciate you all, and I hope to see you again really soon. Thank you very much.